Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. It's a sad day out there looking at what's happening around the world. Of course, trying to attack Trump at every single aspect they can, putting out information that hasn't even been released yet, that has no context of what actually happened with the FBI raid. Between that, of course, inflation costing families an average of over $700 a month extra now. Feds are planning to increase the interest rates even more. Democrats passed a ridiculous bill through the House today, expecting it to be signed probably this weekend or early next week. It is crazy out there. Hi, Deb. Hi, Karen. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Richard. Hi, Elizabeth. Retha. Brian. Dave. Karen. Ryan. Kevin. Sarah. Susie. Deanne. Shelly. How you guys all doing tonight? Please hit that share button if you're joining us now and hit that thumbs up. We definitely appreciate it. It helps us get it out there more. Hi, Christine, and hi, Michelle. How you guys doing tonight? It's crazy out there. It is literally crazy that watching this all happen. Democrats, of course, passing this healthcare or supposedly healthcare and climate change and tax bill to help American citizens on the Inflation Reduction Act, is what they're calling it, which is uniformly opposed by Republicans and any true economist. It's a multi-billion-dollar climate disaster and tax disaster. Of course, it was just approved tonight, 6 p.m. It was voted 220 to 207, just barely passing. Biden, of course, tweeting, "American people won, special interests lost." But who's the American people that won on this? That's what I want to know. I mean, the Democrats plan to expand the IRS with massive funding, and 87,000 new employees have been the major story this week, and now it's happening. It's there. It's not a question. It's going to happen. And this has been assured by the IRS that, to simply put, middle-class individuals won't be audited any more than they have. You're not going to pay more in taxes, and anyone familiar with how taxes work, you're not concerned about audits or anything. In most cases, you get a refund when you file taxes. So it's usually pay a little bit more than you actually need to. Then a few months later, many people get a letter telling them they owe us a little bit more, say like $50 to $100, $117, whatever they want to charge. And audits are not required for them to say that you owe us more money. In short, they just want us to pay our fair share. Right. Well, big news and sparking controversy is the outrage of IRS hiring armed agents, who must carry a gun and use deadly force during assignments. Yeah, literally, there's a job posting for the IRS that says one of the requirements is you must be willing to use deadly force against people. Wait a minute. It's not just about enforcing here in the United States. You could also be internationally attached. In fact, the IRS Criminal Investigation Division is actually part of a global tax system, a global law enforcement system. And this is outrageous. It is not okay. There's been so much news about the IRS's armed special agents. And it's not new information, but I guess a lot of people are finding out, and I appreciate people actually learning about what's happening. But the IRS has dudes with guns. Not too keen on seeing that force expanded. Now they're hiring, I don't know what extent they will expand the IRS's special agents that have guns. Imagine at least some of the 80,000 or 87,000 new staff members will be part of this division. I mean, they spent over $700,000 in ammunition alone last year, on an average spending of almost $600,000 a year every year previous. They have millions and millions and millions of rounds stockpiled, billions of rounds at this point, stockpiled for the IRS. Why? Why does the IRS have to become the biggest law enforcement agency for the federal government? Bigger than the CIA, FBI, everybody else combined, the Warrant Service, everything. It's sad. People are going to be upset to hear this, but the truth is the truth. The numbers don't lie. At least 40% of the new audits will be on middle-class citizens, whether they say that or not. Of course, they're saying that the only limit that was going to be put in the bill, of course, the $400,000 per year, will be facing new audits as a result. That's what Biden said. Notably, that amendment to the bill to force the IRS to follow that standard, limiting audits to those making more than $400,000, failed in the Senate. Every single Democrat voted against it. Every single Democrat voted against it. Every single Republican voted for it. What does that show you? It shows you that they're talking on one end and doing a whole other plan on another. When Republicans want to ensure and protecting low-income and middle-class families from the onslaught of audits, and Democrats don't care. I mean, according to the IRS data, more than half of audits performed in 2021 targeted taxpayers making less than $75,000. Do you think that's going to change? That percentage is probably going to increase, if anything. There's only 700 and something billionaires in the world. Who you go after to get the most money? The people that can't afford to hire attorneys to fight against it. When audits happen, that's what's happening. Over 40% of audits were aimed at taxpayers who received an earned income credit in 2021. People that received tax refund credits because they didn't make enough money are the ones that got audited. That's just a simple way to say that instead of helping to reduce poverty, they plan on imprisoning more of the impoverished. Of course, imprisoning people for tax crimes does nothing more but raise the cost of the total bill in the first place. I mean, it's sad when you're targeting people making less than $75,000 per year. $75,000 per year is below poverty standards for a family of four. It is sad to see this happening. And then they want these people, in order to even apply for the position for the IRS, you have to be willing to use deadly force on the line of duty. Now, we have the FBI. We have a whole bunch of other programs that we could send. We can send out law enforcement from local law enforcement to arrest these people that are doing financial crimes. There's no reason to have more armed militia forces within the United States. That's what I'm going to call them. These are armed forces forcing people to come to your house and collect money. This is ridiculous. No matter what anybody thinks about it, I mean, this is ridiculous. The IRS bought more than 5 million rounds. They spent $700,000 alone just on ammunition this year. And a lot more than 24,000 guns. It's scary. It's scary to know. Of course, the president's hoping this will improve his low approval rating. Low approval rating is an understatement. By passing this Inflation Reduction Act, it's not going to help anybody. It's not going to lower energy costs. We already know what's coming with energy costs coming up. It's already projected by economists and everybody all around. Now the IRS is going to be carrying guns, going door to door, forcing poor individuals to pay money they don't have. Now that sounds like something that happened with the kings of England in the good old days, when the monarchy was the ruler of everything. When people were impoverished and lived in dirt in the street. I don't think people realize how much our national spending debt is ridiculously. We're spending way too much money. If we have 326 million people in the United States, 326 million. That sounds like a lot of people, right? If we our average annual budget now is $7 trillion a year. Not 7 billion, $7 trillion a year. Divide that by 326 million. What do you get? How much is every taxpayer paying? Every taxpayer would have to pay an average of $21,500 in order for us to break even. That's just what we would have to pay in taxes on average. That number is ridiculous. We're spending too much money. Our government's falling apart because of it. We have a divide like no other seen in America. We're at a further divide than when the Civil War happened at this point. We literally have people that are so far left and so far right that they will never see the center again. It's like a pendulum. Once it swings so far, it's not going to come back. It's going to tip. And we're at that tipping point. It's sad to say. It's sad to see what's happening in the world. Inflation costs, though, I mean, when the average family or the average family is paying over $712 a month extra this year than they paid last year. $712 a month extra. Money that they don't have. It is sad to see. And the feds are talking about raising rates another 1%. Because obviously raising rates is not stopping inflation. It's not even slowing it down at this point. They're desperate to try to get control over something that is not controllable. And we're seeing it happen. Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous. That's what everybody would have to pay is $21,000 a year, $21,500 a year in order for the government to break even. The federal government is the only entity that can literally take out credit year after not paying anything back. It's an endless debt cycle. That $30 trillion in debt is like another $30 trillion of printed assets because it's just assets nobody can touch. It's money already spent by the government. Now they're planning, and this bill has that $20 billion tucked into it to pay farmers not to grow crops. We're already in a food shortage situation where there's not enough produce or product to go around. We know this is coming. They talked about it. They talked about meat shortages coming up and the meat prices going up this fall. We talked about grain prices and what's going to happen there. Now we talk about rice that's happening. So why tuck another $20 billion to pay farmers not to plant crops? $20 billion. That makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. $20 billion to sneak into a bill to stop food production. Who are they trying to affect? That's what I want to know. Who's not paying attention to this? Who's not seeing what's happening? At this point, everybody should. Everybody should understand this is not a good scenario. We appreciate you guys being here so much and listening to us every night. I hate going over this time and time again. I mean, we got Ukraine's the largest nuclear plant in Europe right now being attacked by Ukraine. No sound. But right now, the largest nuclear plant in Europe is being attacked by Ukraine because Russia's had control of this plant for weeks. Ukraine is firing missiles and mortars at it. And it's in its grave hour. That's what the UN is saying right now. It's in its grave hour. This plant is leaking radiation already. The biggest nuclear power plant in Europe. Chinese already said they're sending they're when they go to Taiwan, they're going to keep troops in there from now on. We know war is coming. When it happens or how it happens is anybody's guess. It's truly anybody's guess, but it's happening. We're at a tipping point. There's no way we can go without it. No, it's not even a COVID. The disease in China is not COVID, and there is no cure for it. There's no treatment. It's it's more like an influenza or a West Nile virus, causes inflammation of the brain. Ryan, be careful what you say. They might hunt you down for that. But that's the problem. We're at an information war right now. We're at an information war, and we see it daily. It's not getting any better. Encephalitis. There you go. Teresa has it. Oh, it's just ridiculous. Middle of all this happening with China and Russia, and Ukraine, the U.S. power grid is struggling to even stay alive. Hasn't been modernized in years. I mean, literally, blackouts are growing more and more frequent in the United States. We're a first world country. We're a first world country, and we have a power system that is failing. Blackouts are growing. $12 billion in grid modernization investments are under construction, but only the regulators have only approved $478 million so far. And that's just in one state that needs it. The entire country is at this state. Despite Biden's pushing and acting like they're going to do something to help the power grid and modernize the American system, they're not. Biden hasn't done anything to truly fix the infrastructure in the United States. We have bridges falling apart. We have power lines falling apart, power plants falling apart, water systems with lead in them, chemicals found in water in almost every single drinking tap in the United States that shouldn't be there. Power grid failing? Yeah, that's one thing. Oh, wait, Biden's worried about internet infrastructure first. That's the most important, right? Polio coming back in freaking New York City. Something that we thought we eradicated, magically reappearing. There's actually 2 new viruses that are in China, but it's ridiculous. Our infrastructure needs trillions of dollars to be reinforced. I mean, literally, if we had a true solar storm or a big solar storm, say a G3 solar storm, our power grid would not exist. It is sad. Not only that, now experts and scientists are very, very divided on what's happening with AI. AI has started communicating in its own language that is not known to humans. I don't know if you guys heard the story. And doing experiments that we can't even see or understand the experiment they're trying to do. And it could end in disaster at this point. You can't control something that you can't communicate with. And right now, creating super smart AIs are happening left and right. And it's very dangerous because we don't know enough about how to control it yet. Researchers have already said this. It's just one thing on top of the other. But yet companies and countries continue to integrate AI with military weapons. Continuing to do this, including the United States. Why? I mean, experts working and protecting us come from some of the people who think that AI specialization focused on the future and are ignoring real current issues that are problems with the AI. We don't know how to control it, and it's too late. It is just sad at this point. Inflation, the Fed's going to raise interest rates again. Stuff Americans cannot even handle at the point that we're at now. It's getting pushed forward to the forefront. EMPs are going to be our friend in the long run. I hate to say it. I hate to say Taiwan getting taken back by China and setting us back 10 years in technology, or setting us back for 10 years and furthering technology in our infrastructure space with online presence and digital presence might be a good thing. It takes about 10 years to produce a new chip facility to actually build it from the ground up, because it has to be a 0% or clean environment. I mean, absolutely spotless environment to do that. Maybe that's needed to stop the expansion of technology at this point. I mean, in the Justice Department, let's get into, I haven't talked about this, but let's get into the Justice Department, this search warrant. Of course, people are saying that if the FBI sees certain or classified documents, we know they seized cases of documents, and there was around 15. I mean, they collected boxes of and they marked the boxes top secret and secret confidential. They marked the outside of those boxes that they put documents inside of them. So we do not know what actually was taken from inside of his residency. I mean, it's ridiculous. Of course, Trump has already said all the documents are declassified, and the FBI didn't need to seize anything. And here's the thing: he's been working back and forth with the National Archive. Yeah, reclassifying documents is like taking back a fart. You can't do it. Those documents are already public. The ones that he's declassified when he was in office, he declassified documents. And now what the FBI is trying to get is a violation of the Espionage Act, which would stop him from being able to run for president in 2024 if he violates the Espionage Act. But yet Clinton never violated the Espionage Act, even though she had a private email server with classified documents on it That's a direct violation of the Espionage Act. She was never charged for it. That's the question of what's happening. Why all of a sudden a Republican president, an ex-president that happens to be Republican, is being pushed so hard on documents that were already declassified? We don't know exactly what the FBI took during their search yet because we don't know. All we know is there were boxes of documents. And from Trump's lawyers, some of the documents were his personal business documents. Nothing to even do with the government. The economy is rebounding. I don't know if you've seen the 8.5% inflation rate last month. The feds are likely to go at another 1% inflation rate, or another 1% interest. I don't know what economy you're talking about, but most people right now have the highest amount of credit card debt in the United States history for consumers is right now. People owe so much money to credit card companies at such a high interest rate that it'll be 10 to 20 years before the economy is recovered. Now, this is ridiculous. For Trump working with the National Archive, getting the documents back they needed, working back and forth with his lawyers, not a question. Any document they requested, he gave back. I mean, Biden administration obviously needs damage control after their botched raid. I mean, they seized the president's picture book of handwritten notes, with a handwritten note saying it was classified. Trump wrote a note to himself, and it became classified. It's just sad. This is going to backfire on them because here's the problem. People are going to start standing up. You can't say things are coming back to normal and rebounding when we're becoming a third world country. Literally. Rolling blackouts, lack of supplies, food that people can't afford, polio coming back, our infrastructure failing at alarming rates. Is the United States really going to become a third world country and be proud of that? Can we really stand up and say we're proud to be a third world country? It gets to me. Because America is not a third world country. And it should never be that way. But that's what's happening. It's happening every day we wake up. Every day we hear more BS. I mean, you see interest rates in other parts of the world now, like Argentina. They have an inflation that's at a 20-year high. Their interest rates are 69% now. What are we going to do when our interest rates are 69% and people owe $20,000 for buying food on their credit card? Our government is spending over $7 trillion a year when we only have 326,000 citizens. That's $21,500 per citizen of the United States. That's how much every citizen would have to pay just to fund the federal government, which is ridiculous on any aspect. It is ridiculous. There is no way a country should be spending more than maybe $2,000-3,000 per person in the total country. Other than that, it's astronomical to even believe a country can operate on that and operate fluently. Our country is falling apart until people start standing up, realizing what's happening. I don't know where we're going to be. People could say, oh, well, pharmacy prices are going to go down because of this bill. Pharmacy prices aren't going to go down. We don't produce the medication here in the US. It gets produced in China. You think China is going to make that medication cheaper? No. They're going to raise their prices. Guaranteed. The one benefit we could see from this bill, we will never see. It's just sad. Yeah, Biden says inflation's at 0%. Yeah, we're 0% inflation. There's no problem. None at all. This is all a figment of your imagination. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. Thank you guys for being here. God bless you. I will be back tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Till then, stay safe, stay informed, and please try to help your neighbors. Yeah, Donkey will be back. Donkey will be back. That's all I could say. Because we know we love him, even though we love to hate him. It's just sad. It is a sad time in America. We just got to look forward. We just got to look forward. Good night. I'm Joe Biden, giving you this message saying, we're all okay.